saw some guy, I don't know his name, he was on Twitter, skinny little dipshit, begging for the government to tax us more.
I was going to talk to you about him. Are you on about Gary Economics?
Must be him, yeah.
Is he like got skinhead?
Yeah. Skinny
Gary Stevenson.
So I just wanted to make a quick video about this as it keeps coming up on my feed, and the story's blown up because Andrew Tate, that well-known sex trafficker who apparently hasn't paid any tax in the UK, is fuming that Gary goes around saying that to solve inequality, rich people should get taxed more. And so a lot of channels are coming out to defend Gary against Andrew, and I've been wanting to talk about Gary Stevenson for a little while. He is a former trader at Citibank, so that means he knows how to make a few bob, and he's now written a book, and he has a YouTube channel called Gary's Economics.
Every revolution in history began with the assassination of the tax man, not sucking the tax man off, hoping he taxes you more. That's not a revolution.
Right.
That is garbage. And the fact that he thinks giving the UK government any more money when they do nothing but waste it. They have hundreds of billions for Ukraine. Hundreds of billions for Ukraine. Why? Because they launder it. So he thinks, let's give the criminals who steal all the money more of our money, and maybe it'll all work out because our kids need a future. There is no future as long as you're dealing with crooks, sir.
I know Andrew Tate is not in prison yet, but technically he is a crook. Maybe he thinks we've forgotten. Maybe he thinks if he shouts loud enough, his argument will be more convincing. But with that being said, I do agree that our tax money is not being spent in the way that it should. So I do think he has an actual point here, but I don't think he's right that our tax money goes directly to the Ukraine. I think it's more about we make money from selling arms to them. But what do I know?
And if you think you could tax rich people, you're also an idiot.
Right.
Because let me tell you from a rich person, we leave.
So again, this is actually a valid point that rich people, or anyone indeed, will avoid paying tax if they can. Not altogether like Andrew, which is obviously illegal, but certainly minimising, which is usually done by hiring an accountant. Also, I'm not quite sure if Andrew Tate qualifies as rich. I don't think he has a lot of assets, as they were all removed from what I saw from outside his house, and he's got a lot of legal bills to pay. And the frustration I have with Gary's argument is we do live in a system where structuring your wealth to avoid taxes, particularly in the corporate world, is standard practice, and it's very easy to set up a corporation in a different area or country to where you live and not pay tax. And that's what a lot of these big tech companies do, like Amazon and all the other shell companies that are registered in the Cayman Islands, as was exposed in the Panama Papers. But everyone's forgotten about that now.
There is no rich person on the planet.
Or restructure things.
Or restructure things. That's right. I can restructure my life and still visit England and enjoy England while having my wealth elsewhere and not pay the taxes.
Yeah.
So he obviously doesn't know very much for an economics fucking whatever he's supposed to be.
Interesting though, because I actually think if you listen to a lot of what he said,
I think he works for the fucking Matrix. I think he's been paid. I think they've put him somewhere, they've put him in. Think about this. Let's analyze this. Like professionals. Let's be professionals.
Go on.
Labor come in.
Yeah.
They're going to put everyone's taxes up, fuck everyone over, remove the winter fuel allowance, and wreck everybody. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, some skinny dipshit is all over the internet begging for higher taxes just before the higher taxes come. Is this a coincidence?
So I think Gary's been promoting the same message for about 5 years that I know of. I don't think it has anything to do with the Matrix. I think Andrew Tate is desperately clinging on to some kind of relevancy in the podcast world. Don't think he really knows what he's talking about. I have watched some of Gary's videos, as I've done a bit of content about how the investment banking business works, and that is really the biggest problem I see with our economic situation. It is like a giant gambling pyramid scheme where all the money goes to banks, but none of these financial channels ever say that. It's the reason why inflation keeps going up and the cost of living is becoming harder to attain. When with all this supposed wealth being created, it should be the opposite, shouldn't it? So Gary is an ex-Citi trader. On his website, he says he was Citibank's most profitable global trader while trading interest rates in 2011. But then, is it even real money? I don't know. It's trading bonds, so not really, but who knows? It only benefits banks and people who work for them. And mentally, they all seem to be unstable anyway, which is why I think he left the industry. So I started following Gary's channel and I joined his Discord around Christmas time, I think it was. I thought he had a good message and I wanted to know more about him and more about his community. I felt pretty uncomfortable in the Discord server. Mostly people were there trying to figure out the best way to make money, which isn't that what Andrew Tate's brand is about? Their main sources of information are the YouTube channels like Jimmy the Giant or whatever his name is. They were talking about alternative energy and AI, which was a huge red flag to me as they are things which are increasing inequality. It was also extremely male dominated. There was a sense of naivety, and anyone that suggested anything that went against the grain was very quickly and curtly shut down. There was also quite a bit of crypto spamming going on. I get that Gary doesn't monitor the Discord. I don't even know if he goes in it, but that's not an excuse. There's a link to it on his YouTube channel, and I do believe everyone in there is somewhat of a fan. So, I mean, why else would you join it? Then there were some other little niggles I started to notice about his brand. He admits that he has all the promotional opportunities he does is because he's sponsored by Penguin Books, his book publisher, and that their publicist gets him all the bookings.
This year we are going to get another big publicity campaign from Penguin. The paperback of the book is coming out, and I've just received it from in the mail by courier, so I'll open it and show it to you, the new cover at the end of the video. You know, we have to try to grasp that and to grow it. We're going to be doing a public tour around the country, so hopefully some of you will get a chance to meet me and ask me whatever questions you have.
If you want to pay the £25 ticket price. Well, last time I checked, Penguin Books is owned by a German media conglomerate, Bertelsmann, which gained a prominent position during Nazi Germany. Great. And has a €3 billion a year revenue. In the UK, in Germany, it's something like 20 billion. So I imagine they have a very successful marketing department supporting him. And that's all well and good because we all need to make a living. But it just doesn't sit with Gary's message to me. I mean, how much tax does Penguin Books pay, eh, Gary? I've tried to make sense of their financial report, and from what I can see, like most businesses, their priority paying out dividends to the investors. This might be an awkward question, but it just seems like you're here asking the British people for their money to go and see you and buy your book and donate to your channel. Meanwhile, Penguin Books, with their billions of revenue, is giving nothing back. Do you see the problem? And then about his YouTube channel, when I first saw it, I thought, oh, he's filming in his kitchen. That's economical. Great way to keep costs down by using your home environment and to make the most revenue on YouTube. But then I see, oh, that's not actually his kitchen. It's a set. I think it's very deliberately trying to be like, oh, I'm just at home having a coffee and a chat with you. And he's got a cameraman and a crew and I guess an editor. And then he's asking for donations to support the channel so he can grow the channel and build a political party. And I'm like, whoa.
If we are going to be politically powerful, we need staff, and I need staff. I just don't think there's any way that I can cope with making it significantly bigger than it is without any full-time staff, basically. And that means we are going to need funding, and that means that we are going to open a Patreon. I spoke about it just before I went away. We're going to open a Patreon and we're going to see what we get. And, you know, I don't know whether we'll get a lot, I don't know whether we'll get a little, but if we want to be politically powerful down the line, we're going to need staff. And if we need staff, we're going to need funding. Just help support me and help us to get a little bit more ambitious and diverse with the creativity of what we do. Help us to work with different creatives, help us to get different people on the channel, so it's not just like me every week in my no-face hoodie.
I just don't understand what it is politically you stand for. There are other channels where I feel a much stronger sense of community, where they actually have meetups and marches, but here this is all about taking money. It's giving startup vibes. If it was a real movement and a real party, people would want to do stuff to move it forward. And I think having it in the kitchen is deceptive to the untrained eye because everyone thinks he's this amazing, genuine bloke, and maybe he is, I don't know. But I don't think most people get that really he's another influencer. Only he hasn't trafficked any young girls. Well, not that we know of, but I'm sure plenty at the Citibank did. So he has an agent, and if you look at some of the other people they represent, it must be one of the top agencies, because I've heard of quite a few of these. There's James Charles, Jake Paul, Rosanna Pansino, Gary B. I think I saw Tyler the Creator on there. So this is another big problem we have with wealth inequality. We have influencers who get paid thousands of pounds or dollars to promote products that we don't even need, whereas someone that does a worthwhile job that contributes to our society gets paid the lowest or minimum wage. The reality is, unless you are going to be an influencer, what chances are there for you to make a lot of money in this day and age? From what I've heard, money laundering in the influencer industry is absolutely rampant. I don't think Gary talks about that on his channel. I've not heard him say it. And my problem with Gary is he's an influencer and he's still asking for more money to pay for staff. When you earn money, why can't you pay for your own staff? Because isn't that what equality is about, sharing the profits? Or did I miss something? So yeah, I think it's all a bit deceptive and clickbaity, because tax the rich, it doesn't mean anything, does it? And I agree with this comment that Rice Crash 5225 made. I disagree with Gary, and here's why. Government spending has never been at these levels. Government debt, deficits, bureaucracy, waste, fraud and abuse are all at record levels. Our governments don't have an income problem, they have a spending problem. Taxing wealth will result in more waste, fraud and abuse by insidious politicians and political insiders. I've not heard how you are going to change the entire financial and business investment system. We have a global economy built on exploitation and avoiding tax and increasing debt, because that's how economics works. It's not feeding back to us, the people, and it's private equity and profiting out of public services that we literally need. That's way more of the problem. But anyway, Gary, let's hear you open up the conversation a bit. You don't need money for that, because Andrew has a point, that the money we pay or are meant to pay in tax is not spent on what it should be, and in 2025, the only realistic way to live in a slightly more comfortable life is to be an influencer like you, Andrew, the bloke whose podcast it is. So really everyone is in the same boat. They are just promoting different messages. I'm not saying Andrew Tate is in the right. I'm actually working on a video about him with someone who used to work for his cam girl business. But they both have the same solution to the problem, which is to give them more money. I definitely feel like Andrew Tate is a con artist. But to be honest, Gary, this is probably not going to be a very popular opinion. I don't think you're too far from it yourself, if you're really honest about it. And that's a shame, because I'd really like to believe in you.